This was gutting to watch. The Tyrese Haliburton injury that they replayed over and over and over again on ESPN was so heartbreaking. You never want to see the NBA finals go down like that. And yet, I thought about it. And while I felt awful for Haliburton, I thought he's got two things working in his favor that many people in his situation or one like it don't have. What are they? He's got time. He had off days between game 5 and game 6, and game 6 and game 7 in order to try and get rest and preventative treatment for that strained calf muscle and prevent catastrophic injury. He had the resources as well at his disposal, millions of dollars and access to some world class healthcare, courtesy of the Indiana Pacers and the NBA. Based on those two things, I think most of us would have done the same thing as Halliburton and tried to go for the title, play for it all, try at least. And if you don't get there, or God forbid something happens like that, you will be lionized for trying. But not everybody has those resources. And that is an important distinction because what Halliburton did, as courageous and laudable as it was not more difficult than what many college players face every year. You heard me right. No pro athlete takes on the level of risk that college basketball players take on every postseason. And there's a reason for that. We have some leagues in Division One now who have set up their conference tournaments so that you might have to win 7 games in 7 days in order to get a bid to March Madness. Does that sound ridiculous to you? It sounds ridiculous to me. Well, get ready to learn Sunbelt and West Coast Conference, folks, because they think they've got the right model to ensure their best teams get to the dance. And I'm here to tell you, this is dangerous, really dangerous. Okay? Take a look at what they're doing here. Okay? This has been going on for a little while now. The West Coast Conference has both of the top two seeds getting a bye in the conference tournament all the way into the semifinal round. Okay? Now, the WCC, it's only 11 teams. Okay? Let's take a look at the Sun Belt, for example, which is 14 teams. Okay? Look at this bracket. The worst teams in the league begin conference tournament play on a Tuesday, and the best teams in the league don't play until the following Sunday. So a team that finished among the league's bottom 4 would have to win 5 games in 5 days just to meet the number 1 or number 2 team in the conference semifinals. We're talking about a path to a championship that takes 7 wins in 7 days. That is absurd. Now, somehow, over the course of time, we have just normalized the fact that it's okay for players to play 5 games in 5 consecutive days. That happened last year, right? The huge tournament run that NC State went on, 5 wins in 5 days in the ACC tournament that catapulted them into March and led to their Final Four run. A miraculous narrative and a rare one, and one that is way, way, way more dangerous than all of the celebratory hoopla that goes on around it, knowing that the Wolfpack won and won and won and won, despite all of the risk they undertook, especially in that initial stage in the ACC tournament, of their players getting hurt. What pro sport can you think of where they have to play 5 days in a row, 7 days in a row in pursuit of a championship? It doesn't happen like that. Look at this. You want that for your college teams? No way. We have got to put a stop to this because your college teams and college athletes don't have the resources that Halliburton has to try and recover from an injury like this or to try and prevent an injury like this because they don't have the time. They don't give themselves the time to let players heal like this. But you don't have to do it the way the West Coast Conference and the Sun Belt Conference are doing it, right? There are other leagues that have, in my opinion, better models. You take a look at the Conference USA model or the Big Sky model or the WAC. They have figured this out. The top seed always gets a rest advantage over whatever team they are playing in their opening round game. And if they win that game, they get a bye from there into the conference semifinals. I think that sounds like the best of both worlds. And the bottom seeds, at worst, play 5 days in a row, which we've already grandfathered in as the standard, stupid as that may be. You could do this for a major conference as well. The SEC can do this. They just have to extend the tournament by 1 day, give themselves a bye, a rest day between the quarterfinals and the semifinals. And in doing so, add a travel day for regional fans to try and get there for weekend attendance. You've boosted your weekend gate. You're welcome. And guess what? You're more likely to have well rested players who aren't going to get hurt playing for their 5th day in a row for the SEC title because you've given them a day of rest. So I'm asking this question, and I feel like more should be. When are conferences going to reformat their basketball tournaments and set them up to include a day of rest in the middle? Is it that hard? No team, regardless of their record, should be subjected to 7 games in 7 days. That is too ripe for player injury. And by the way, we don't have this issue in pro sports because pro sports chop off the postseason field. They don't feel compelled to include everybody the way some of these leagues do. So either you cut the format down or you give these teams some rest, because otherwise you are setting yourself up for more injuries like this. And the teams in your league are not going to be prepared to deal with them the way pro teams can. And I think the downstream effect of that on recruiting could be really, really nasty. Ask Marshall if it was worth it this year to keep playing and keep winning. Marshall was the number 11 seed in the Sun Belt Women's Tournament, okay? They won 4 days in a row, only to get knocked out in, wait for it, the quarterfinal round by a team that did not make the Sun Belt Finals. Was it worth it for the Thundering Herd to win those games? What did they get compared to what they risked for their players having to play that many days in a row? Tyrese Haliburton's injury was the 3rd Achilles torn in 69 days of NBA playoffs. And that happened despite 24 days of rest for the Pacers specifically, mid-series, right, across all their playoff rounds. Days of recovery, days of rehab, days of preventative measures to try and avoid the worst outcome. And yet, for some of the best conditioned bodies in America, it still happened. So what do we expect with no days off in conference tournament championships? I'd love to hear the answer from the WCC and the Sun Belt. This is Many Ways to Win. I'm Tyler Springs. Please like, subscribe, comment if you've got an opinion, or send me an email as well. I look forward to talking more basketball, women's and men's with you going forward, as well as college sports and anything else that pops up on the radar.